There's been lots of topics discussed this week at CTIA, but nothing's been bigger than what happened right before the show. We're talking, of course, about AT&T's potential acquisition of T-Mobile for $39 billion. It's been on everybody's mind, so we decided to ask people what they thought. We took to the show floor and asked people at the CTIA, how do you feel about AT&T's acquisition of T-Mobile, and how would it affect your business if it goes through?
So yeah, I use AT&T mobility service, so I presume that my coverage would only improve. You know, AT&T has been a good service provider, but if they're adding cell sites, they're adding spectrum, that's going to mean better service overall. So that's great. There'll be more capacity probably where I live, you know, when they're in a capacity-constrained environment. So as a consumer, that's great. As a vendor in my business, actually both AT&T and T-Mobile are customers of ours. So I presume they'll continue to be customers of ours. I couldn't say at this point whether that means they'll be buying more or less, unfortunately. I think probably there are a lot of people asking that question. What do it mean to me? So yeah, count me as one of those.
Certainly a lot of buzz here at the show, right? And as a consumer, I can't help but know as a participant at the show that I do think it will enhance our service as consumers. So I think it's a good thing. I think it does help both companies and helps consumers as well.
That's not known right now. I'm an old AT&T Bell Labs guy, so this acquisition kind of, reminds me of what we're going back to, right? 1983, right? So I think we're going to end up with maybe two. It's curious to see what Sprint is going to do. I think that's going to be problematic for them. And if it's not managed effectively, I could see, getting to a duopoly, which I just think can be devastating for small carriers, rural carriers. So we're kind of curious to see how the FCC manages this merger if it does go through. And I think it's kind of up in the air, right? Very hard to predict.
I don't know enough about it yet. The big monopoly company scares me. Really not thinking that it's going to be good for the consumer. I am an AT&T person right now. Have been with AT&T or Bell South for 15 years, and I'm not sure it's going to be good for the consumer.
I ultimately think that there's some disadvantages and some benefits. So from a benefits perspective, they'll have a larger share of the market and hopefully can offer some better services across the board. From a negative side, I think everybody's concerned about the pricing and stuff like that. As far as the impact on our business, I think that these companies are going to need to differentiate on more than just price. So like I mentioned, the user content services that Nube sells to these companies, I think that's a good way to differentiate themselves. Price alone isn't going to work.